So when you plan to go by Andrews, please make sure say you have $50,000-$60,000, because one, if you know you have fibroids, make sure you walk and tuck in your belly. Tuck in your belly so nobody no feel any protrusion. Nobody no feel no bulging to say that you have a fibroid. Yes, you know you have a fibroid and you're not doing anything about it. But for Andrew's sake and for your paperwork sake, don't go up there and make your abdomen look big. No. I'm not telling you to go and see Dr. Miami now, you know. I'm not telling you to go and see Dr. Miami. I'm just saying, just make sure so you don't have anything bulging out, because expect additional testing. Expect additional testing to be done if you have fibroids. And if you go up there and your foot broke or you have a fracture to your leg, please walk straight. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the US medical that we have to do prior to coming to the US in Jamaica. So this is more specific to the Jamaicans, and hopefully this is going to be something that will highlight a little bit more about the company that is entrusted to do this US medical exam on behalf of the US Embassy. So this is related to a situation that happened the other day. So I know a person who went in to have their US medical done, and everybody know that the US medical in Jamaica is only done in one location, and that is at the Andrews Memorial Hospital that is located on the Old Rope Road, and that's the only place in Jamaica that you can actually do it. So if you're based in Montego Bay, I'm assuming you're gonna have to drive and take that bus, come all the way down to Andrews Memorial. If you're in St. Thomas, if you're in Clarendon, wherever you are in the country, you have to come to Kingston and get that US medical. And because of how, you know, frequently persons are actually migrating, sometimes you might not get an appointment date until after your embassy appointment, and that doesn't cause any like significant delay if you have no other issues or anything else that is outstanding that the US embassy is awaiting. So I have this person who went up to the US Embassy, and they went in on the 3rd of June to get their embassy appointment done. So they went and did their embassy interview. Everything went well. But prior to that, they were given a date for their US medical on May 31st. So you're not allowed to pay any money up front when you're booking your appointment on the website at Andrews Memorial Hospital. You just go ahead and confirm a time, and then you show up on the date once you have that. So you just have to make sure you have like information regarding your appointment that they can actually say, yes, this person has a legit reason for booking a medical at Andrews Memorial Hospital. You go ahead and book the exam, and you have to ensure that you have an appointment when you're booking. So you have to do this confirmation, and then at the time you have to look on the website and you realize that they have different tiers based on your age group as to how much money you'll be spending as the base fee in terms of getting your US medical done. And then it also goes on to say that if you're going to be getting any booster shot or any vaccines, each booster shot or vaccine you're budgeting for at least say $7,000 to $8,000. So I went online and I checked this out, and only to realize that I had made an error with the cost associated with the vaccines. So the 19,000 is for the age group that is 15 to 17 years and 45 years and over. And then you will have your vaccine that is gonna be where they say budget for an additional $25,000 to $40,000. All right, in addition to the $19,000. So roughly you need about $65,000-$70,000 when you're going to Andrews, just to play it safe, just for your vaccines and the medical exam. All right, so when you look at it, you're spending almost 19 plus $7,000 or $8,000, roughly $27,000 there, Jamaican dollars. All right, and I will go ahead and put the maths down below as to how much US dollar that is. So that is just this general thing up front. All right, so depending on, you know, you the person, if you have family members who are in, you know, the health field, or if you are just being proactive and you want to go out and get all your vaccines, your booster shot, because sometimes you can get those at the comprehensive clinic and they're going to be very cheap, or you can always go and get them from your private practice or your primary care provider, and those are going to be a little bit more reasonable, rather than going to Andrews at the day and then be ending up spending like say $8,000 per vaccine, which really sometimes is a little bit ridiculous and outrageous in terms of pricing. But as we can see, we see where it says to make sure we get the vaccines at Andrews. So I don't know if it's a thing that has changed, but if you already get the vaccine and you have proper documentation of it, I don't see why they would want to give you a double shot of the vaccine if you already have proper documentation of it. So if you can still get it from somewhere else, get it there. If you can't get it, then you just have to get it at Andrews. So if you can go ahead and do that in the meantime while you're awaiting your embassy appointment or your medical, that will be a plus for you, because you'll be saving enough money at the time of your US medical exam. So I had this person who went in and she had gotten all of her booster shots and everything done, because her daughter is a nurse, and she had tried to get all of those at her primary care provider as well as through the clinics in the different areas. And the only thing that she would be pending or outstanding would have been like, I think it was gonna be the Tdap or DTaP. So whichever one we do in Jamaica, it's going to be the opposite of that one that we will need to transition or move to the US. So you'll need that vaccine. So some private offices in Jamaica, you can get it. It might cost a little bit more than the regular vaccines, but you can actually get it from some private office, or you can get it at the time of going into Andrews, which a lot of persons probably tend to do. So it is that vaccine that I'm saying that if you are a little bit more proactive, you can always go ahead and get all of your vaccines done, and then those little vaccines that is hard to come by, you know, you will end up paying for them at the US medical exam date at the time at Andrews Memorial Hospital. So she had all of her vaccines and everything done prior to meeting her appointment date for the US medical, which is before the date of her US embassy interview. So when you get up to Andrews, you'll realize that there's a lot of persons there. Persons who have appointments like at 10 o'clock, they will show up from 8 o'clock. You have a lot of persons there. So she had an appointment for after 8, and the wait time usually is about say 4 to 5 hours. Until midday thereabout, she was still, you know, hanging, waiting to be seen by the provider to do her full evaluation. They will go ahead and do the pre-checks and everything, but you won't be able to see the provider to do the complete medical exam and be sent home. So it finally come to her turn where she went in to see the provider, and it was at that time the provider went ahead and did an exam on her. He went ahead and, you know, was listening and palpating and doing everything, touched her belly and realized that, oh, she has a bulge. So he was a little bit concerned about the bulge there. He says that he thinks it's a fibroid. This lady, she is very knowledgeable, so she was saying that she hasn't been having any issues with, you know, like back pain. She hasn't been having any abdominal pain. Her abdomen doesn't seem like it changes in size. She's not having any vaginal bleeding or anything that is concerning or suspicious for a uterine fibroid. And she's also been followed up with her primary care provider like every 3 to 6 months, because she has had a procedure done at the university hospital before, and they're doing like quarterly evaluations on her. So she hasn't been missing her appointment. They've always been checking her, and there was never a concern at the time when she went in to see her providers. So she was just a little bit shocked at the time when she got into Andrews to do her US medical that this provider is saying that there's a little bit of a bulge. But she never really thought it was going to be anything that was going to hinder her from getting her paperwork or get her paperwork sent off to the US embassy to say that, you know, she had completed the US medical exam. It turned out that after she was there, the doctor said to her, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to send off the information over to the US embassy because we need to get the ultrasound done of the belly. We need to get the ultrasound done of the abdomen. She was saying that she doesn't understand the rationale behind why she needed to do the ultrasound of the abdomen, you know, and then be waiting on that result to bring it back to Andrews before they actually send off her medical paperwork over to the US Embassy, because she was saying that she never came there for any, you know, additional workup. All of her workup is done through her primary care. So the gentleman was like, well, you need to get the test done and you need to get the results, you know, available to us so we can actually get it attached and send over to the US Embassy. So it turned out that she was upset about the whole process and everything, you know, because she was now looking at it to see if it was because she had all of her testing done, all of her vaccines done, and there wasn't anything else that they needed to give her, because she already paid the $19,000 and she already paid the $8,000 for the booster test. So that is roughly $27,000 she already spent upfront already. So she was just a little bit concerned about the fact that no, they have an additional testing that they want to do, which has nothing to do with the whole, you know, US Embassy or US medical that she thought she was doing. So in the past, I know persons who have had different, you know, underlying medical problems. They've been there before and they never end up doing anything else outside of getting their vaccines done and get it sent off to the embassy to say that they've, you know, they met the criteria for traveling. Because I think the whole process of the US medical exam is to say that you are safe, you're not contagious. You're not going to go on the airplane and infect the entire airline, or you're not going to go overseas and get everybody sick over there with something that you're bringing from Jamaica or from another third world country. That is the whole purpose of getting the US medical done, is to make sure that you're safe, you're protecting yourself, as well as the US is gonna be protecting their people when you get in contact with them. They want to know that you are good to mingle with their folks when you get there. So she was just a little bit concerned about that, and so the gentleman was like, yeah, you need to get the exam done. Without the exam, we won't be able to process your paperwork and send it off. So she was asking for the paperwork so she can actually take the test at the location where she already had done ultrasounds done before, of her thyroid gland and, you know, any other procedure she had done before. So she wanted to just make sure that all of her records were in one place, and so she was asking for that so she can actually take it to that location. It was at that time she realized that the gentleman was saying, no, you have to do the test on campus here at Andrews Memorial Hospital. They are using the system, the process itself, to get additional money or funds from persons, because they know that persons would have already been their vaccines would have been updated and everything in preparation for. So technically, Andrews don't really want the base money. They don't want just $30,000 or $35,000 from each person. They want $35,000 plus any additional testing that they can do. They want to get those money from the persons as a part of the package or the combo. Because remember, they're the only person in the country, or they're the only institution in the country that actually does the US medical. So they can do whatever tests they want to do on persons because they feel the need to do so and get away with it. You understand? But at the end of the day, they need to understand that it is unfair for the patients. It's unfair for the relatives of those patients, because they're working so hard to ensure that they find the fund to actually go ahead and do these extra testing for these patients that really don't need the testing. So after she heard that, oh no, you need to do the testing here on the campus, she was upset about it because, as I say, she has done testing before at Island Radiology, and I think it was our Oasis Plaza in Spanish Town. So she was a little bit upset about it, that now she's gonna have to travel from all the way in Spanish Town because she never had enough money that day to do the test on the same days. So she had to go home, book an appointment, come back to Andrews to do the exam, and then go back home and then wait until the result is ready. You understand? So she was just a little bit upset about the whole process, and not to mention that the fact that she has a daughter who is a registered nurse as well, who probably could have, you know, everybody pull a string in Jamaica. So she thought probably she could actually pull a string and try to get her ultrasound done some way, somehow, because her daughter works in the hospital. if there was an ultrasound machine. I don't know if the hospital have any ultrasound machine there, because everything we do outside. So I don't think she could have actually pulled a string. But I'm just saying, if she was able to do that test in the house at the hospital that her daughter does work for free, just because she is an employee there, then she would have missed out on that and be spending additional money to do a testing that Andrews is saying that she definitely need to do on their campus. And not to mention that, because when she called Island Radiology, or I think it was Oasis Plaza, to find out what the cost was, it was roughly about, and when she checked it out, the cost at Andrews was dollars. So the pricing on everything go skyrocket at Andrews when it come on to the US medical, because they know definitely persons are dependent. Persons definitely want their paperwork to actually go to the United States and get situated. They know that people really want to migrate because time hard sometime in Jamaica. They know that people really want to migrate because they know that opportunity is over there. Anyway, she went ahead and did the exam. A part of the exam, they did the chest x-ray. That was understandable. I don't know if she's had tuberculosis. I don't know if she's had a testing done before. I don't know if there was anything that is concerning, but that's fine. A part of the test, the testing or routine testing would have been a chest x-ray if there is an abnormal Mantoux test. So if you don't do a Mantoux test or tuberculosis testing, then the next step is to go ahead and do a chest x-ray. So that's fine. So I'm not gonna hit them on that one. But the ultrasound, they went ahead and did the ultrasound. So while she was doing the ultrasonographer, he was a little bit curious because he's like, I can't see anything. He couldn't see anything. He don't know what he was looking for because there was no fibroid. So you know what the gentleman started to look at? The kidneys. And so this lady told the gentleman that, look, you're not looking for anything else. I am here for the fibroids. And if you don't see any fibroids, you're going to wipe off this gel and let me go, because this is just foolishness. So it turned out that after the exam and everything, she left. She went home. 2 weeks later, 2.5 weeks later, Andrews called her to say that, let me not say that. So 2.5 weeks later, she got a call from Andrews Memorial Hospital from the US medical section to say that they're just checking to see if she had completed the testing for the ultrasound. So she was a little bit curious about that, and now she's a little bit upset because she has done the testing and the ultrasound like in split seconds after they said, you know, this is going to cause any delay. And who wants to hear that your medical is going to be delayed because of a testing that they suggest that you need to get done? So if they said to go and get a CT head, you're going to go and find that money and you're going to do the CT head. And if they said to do an MRI of your shoulder, you're going to do it because you want to ensure that there is no delay in your embassy paperwork because of something that you failed to do. So 2.5 weeks later, they called to find out whether or not she had done this test, and it turned out that she was upset about the whole process because she had the testing done, and now she is getting a call to say that they haven't received it. So all this time, this lady was sitting down in her house at Spanish Town thinking that her paperwork was over by the US Embassy, processing to complete so she can actually get her passport back, only to find out that it wasn't even sent off as yet. So by the time you look, she was advised by the person who called to say, what I'm going to have you do is call the ultrasound department and let them know that you need the result to be sent over to the US medical department. The US medical department at Andrews Memorial Hospital is calling this patient in Spanish Town to tell her that she needs to call the ultrasound department, or the department that does her ultrasound, and let them know that they need the result in the US medical. So we're not talking about Andrews University that is in the US. We're talking about Andrews Memorial Hospital that is located on Old Hope Road. That is how many beds? I'm gonna give it about 100 beds. Hospital. You have a Seventh-day Adventist church on the land as well. You have a radiology department in one room, a bathroom separating. and then you have probably the US medical over the other room, and then some passageway down. Like, I'm not talking about a big department or a major hospital where you have to drive all the way from Timbuktu to go all the way over to the other department. I'm talking about, like, just think of it as a 20-bed house. Yes. And that is where all of your offices are located. And this lady was calling this patient to tell her that she need to go and find the result and get it over to her. So she need to call them and let them know that they need to drop off the result or they need to send off the result. This lady could have actually take up the phone and call over by the ultrasound department, and just like what nurses would have done for their patients in the US as well as in Jamaica, we would ask, has this patient done their test already? Did this patient show for the test? Or what is the result? And in Jamaica, we would run to the department and get the results on behalf of the patient. And some of these hospitals are bigger than Andrew's Hospital. But yet still, Andrew's Hospital, that small little hospital that is not even that busy, the busiest it has been is with the ton of patients that come in to get their medical done. You understand? Because as I say, it's a private institution. So if you don't have money, you don't go over there. So I'm saying that they were able to call this patient and tell the patient that she needs to call the department that does her testing, rather than calling the actual department and ask their own colleague that they probably rub shoulders with, pray with, and ask them about the result for this patient. So now she has to hang up the call and call over by Andrews Memorial Hospital, the ultrasound department, to find out what's happening with her results. And then she heard the most surprising news, because she was now being told that, well, we were able to send off the chest x-ray because that is a part of the combo for the US medical, but we thought you brought your ultrasound here to be done from your private doctor and was gonna come back and pick up the result, hence why they never sent it over to the US medical department, because they are not aware of those testing being done on patients coming in for US medical. They've never seen it before. So they were even in shock to see that this lady was there for a US medical and now doing ultrasound of the abdomen. So this lady never sent over the result because she knew deep down that this is never a part of a medical. So she never sent it over. She only sent over the piece that was a part of the medical, the part that she knows is a part of it. So she thought the patient was going to come back to Andrews and pick up the result and walk with the result or drive with the result back to her private doctor in Spanish Town so they can actually review it. So the person actually walked with the result over to the US medical department and hand it off to the folks in that department so that they can actually get it. So what I'm just trying to get at is that people, when you plan to go by Andrews, please make sure say you have $50,000-$60,000, because one, if you know you have fibroids, make sure you walk and tuck in your belly. Tuck in your belly so nobody no feel any protrusion. Nobody no feel no bulging to say that you have a fibroid. Yes, you know you have a fibroid and you're not doing anything about it. But for Andrew's sake and for your paperwork sake, don't go up there and make your abdomen look big. No. I'm not telling you to go and see Dr. Miami now, you know. I'm not telling you to go and see Dr. Miami. I'm just saying, just make sure so you don't have anything bulging out, because expect additional testing. Expect additional testing to be done if you have fibroids. And if you go up there and your foot broke, or you have a fracture to your leg, please walk straight. Walk straight. You're already being followed up with somebody and they're not doing anything about it, or they just put on the cast and do whatever. Chill with it, but at the same time walk straight and make nothing be any additional problem going on, because Andrews is gonna tell you that probably you need to go over there and do an x-ray, and you have to do it on their campus. And for all the grandmas them that are complaining about arthritis in the knee and whatever, yes, you put it on your paperwork, but I'm asking you, when you go up to Andrews Memorial Hospital, don't go up there and go cry and say you have arthritis pain right now, because the doctor you're seeing is not the regular doctor, is not a primary care doctor. When you do the test, they're not following up on the results. They just want to know that you do the test, the money come off of your card, and that's it. Then don't care where the result is. Because this lady hasn't gotten a call from the provider who ordered her test, who had a concern about her protrusion, who had a concern about her uterine fibroid. No, they don't call her even right now. And it's almost 3 weeks. You understand? They haven't called her. Well, today is Friday. They haven't even called her. So don't make the mistake and go up there go cry for any ailment, because you will get fixed, you know. But the fix you're gonna get is that them going to fix up your bank book and rearrange it a little bit more. So what you normally would have in there, them going to deduct a little bit more from it, and then you're going to be left with less, and you're not going to get any answers to anything. Because I'm sure that the folks that are in the embassy department, I'm sure in the US medical department, I'm sure that they're not calling persons regarding those testing, because who have time for a follow up on patients when you have 40-50 patients coming in that are spending a bare minimum of $30,000 or $40,000 just to get their vaccines looked over to say that them not contagious, them safe to mingle with people. You understand? So which doctor out there? And I'm sure they don't have 10 or 15 doctors working in the US medical section, because if that was the case, there's no way an 8 o'clock appointment could be seen at 12 o'clock in the afternoon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. No, there's no way you could be seen at that time. So it must be a case them only have one doctor working, seeing all of those 50 patients. So all of these additional testing that they're ordering is not going anywhere. It's just going to sit on the paperwork, sit on the desk, sit in a file. And if you feel like you want to go and be proactive and ask for the result, they probably print out it or give you a disc and tell us if you bring it to your primary care provider. Because I'm sure the US embassy is not going to say, well, ma'am, you have HIV, we can't put you on the plane. Well, ma'am, you have a 30-pound uterine fibroids, there's no way we can put you on that plane. Well, ma'am, you have arthritis in your knee, there's no way we're gonna put you on that plane. Like, no, I'm not I don't think they're looking at all of that. You understand? Because if that was the case, oh Lord, a lot of persons would have been turned down or denied by the US embassy if they were going to look at people chronic complaints. So all this testing that they're doing, it doesn't really make any sense, because they're not doing any follow-up. If that lady's result comes back and it is showing that she has a uterine fibroid, what is going to be the end result? Are they going to be holding on to her paperwork indefinitely until they send her over to one of the gynecologists over by Andrews Memorial for review, until they book a surgery for her? Are they going to be doing all of that? You know what much it costs to do a surgery at Andrews? When I was doing my nursing program in 2009, and I was at Andrews Memorial Hospital, the bills were ridiculously high, because as I say, it's a private institutions. So just like how my school fee used to very high at Northern Caribbean University, it was even higher, because you're talking about medical procedures being done. By that time, when a person come out and them cry about a $500,000 bill for spending 3 or 4 days in the hospital, the dollar value that we have now, that's a baby money that can't do nothing. So a lot of persons, if that's the case, if that's how they're looking at it, where they're gonna refer you now after you get your results back and your results show that you have a uterine fibroid, they're gonna refer you to the hospital and tell you that, oh, you need to do the surgery, and if you don't do the surgery, we're not gonna send off your results up to the US embassy until you do it. So remember, you're going to have additional expense. So on your way out, Andrews is putting in more debt. Yes, you trying to go to America to get better opportunity, more money, but Andrews is just draining you with tests. Andrews know that you are depending on that US medical to actually get out and go on the Iron Bird. So the only thing we can tell no people, don't go up like a ball for no headache, don't go up like a ball about no different ailment. If your belly big, tuck it in. If it already slim, well, that's nice. But for the other persons who are, borderline, I'm not sending and telling us if you go and do no Dr. Miami appointment or anything like that. I'm just saying, just be careful, because when you go up to Andrews, they will run all the tests on you. You can't imagine the poor grandmas who go up there. They just look at them and say, okay, then grandma over there is actually crying for her knee. Huh? What better test to do? Do we have an MRI machine at Andrews Memorial? Huh? If we do, we are going to order MRI of the knee. If not, we're going to order a CT scan. So whatever test they can do on campus, you are going to be getting that test done for your ailment, for your complaint. You understand? No, it's not the time to go and say to the doctors, well, doc, you know this, well, doc, and you know all people say, them list out everything from when them born, come straight back up. And the thing about it is that sometimes they not even remember anything. So they're the ones that are gonna be there doing all the tests and just hold on to the paperwork and not even calling them to say, hey, your results come back and it's positive. You understand? Well, let me not say that. Probably they will call them and say that, but then I'm going to tell us if you go and see a primary care provider or see a doctor, or probably they'll tell you to go and see the emergency room doctor. But you could have simply just give her the referral and leave it up to her whether or not she wants to do the test. But you delay this lady's paperwork, have her paperwork now in processing, because her medical was not ready in time for them to actually issue her visa. You let 2.5 weeks pass, 3 weeks pass, and this lady thing is still in the refuse status. Like, that doesn't make any sense. All the other persons who have their issues going on, do your thing as well. But just be careful, because you'll be spending too much money for your US medical that you don't need. Don't let them put you in a situation where you are spending more than what is required. And I'm just so disappointed, because people always say it. I mean, always just kind of look past it, because I know me as the advent. But when you look at things like this, you have to wonder why people always say that. Because we are the same ones who are praying and preaching every day and telling people to do good, but we are doing something that is totally against what we believe in. Because just because the US Embassy entrusts us with this one little duty, you're sneakily using the fact and add additional testing to it, just so you can actually get additional money from the people before they actually leave. Like, that is just unfair. It's very, 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 very unfair. So I don't know, but Andrews, you guys need to pull up on the socks. Need to pull up on the socks. I know so everybody need money nowadays, but God, no sir. If we were supposed to sit down and calculate how much money you guys are making from persons that are booking appointments, you guys are making tons of money already, because there's so many persons that are going to America. A lot of persons are migrating, and in order for them to migrate, them have to come to you guys. So stop being greedy. Stop being greedy. Let's just stop being greedy and try to make sure that we're doing the right thing. If a person's come up there for this, suggest to them that this is happening to them. But they don't have to do it at Andrews. They don't have to do it at Andrews. Or they can do it at Andrews, but still give the persons the pass to go. Doesn't make sense. You're not giving them the pass to get their embassy paperwork completed just because you're holding onto their paperwork for a test result that you guys are not following up on. You're not their primary care provider. After the test done, you have no care in the world with this patient. So you're telling me that we're just wasting money coming up there to do all of these additional testing? Like, it's unfair. It's very, very unfair. So please look into yourself and that doctor who is ordering all of these tests. Yes, Andrews probably love you, but how do you go to your bed at night time and sleep when you know that it is wrong? It is just wrong. But anyways, I am gonna go. The weather is hot, and this was just a little bit hot, so I decided to just come and vent it here so that we can hear and we can all be a part of this, you know, what's happening in the US Embassy in Jamaica, or what's happening in the US Medical at Andrews Memorial Hospital. So hopefully, if there's anybody else who have similar situation, you can always go ahead, you know, and share it. You can comment below, whatever you normally do on a regular channel. Please go ahead and do so, and thank you so much for tuning in. It is greatly appreciated. I am gonna go and hopefully we'll hear a little bit more about this topic. It's a very sensitive topic. Like, nobody really wants to talk about it, but you know, my channel is all about nursing, and for the transitional nurses, I just want to prepare them well. Yes, I just want to prepare them well so they can know what's happening out there, so they can feel comfortable going to do their US medical and not have to be in a situation where they're wondering, oh Lord, I need to get this additional money or whatever because Andrews is saying this. Like, no. So hopefully this will prepare you for what to expect at Andrews Memorial Hospital. Until then, there is only one location to do it. Hopefully they'll have some competition one day. Prices will drop, or I don't know, but yeah, hopefully they'll have competition one day and things will get better. All right, so until then, thank you so much for tuning in, and I do hope that you will have a wonderful evening.